We put T.S. Eliot next to somebody else.
Yeah, we should. Because
Yeah, they are now. They are now. The people can
good.
see them.
Oh, fantastic. So you're seeing that beautiful man in his coat.
In his mink coat. Twinned with Eliot LARPing as the great, he's got his top, his bowler hat and his umbrella and his briefcase. He's no look more English than the English.
Yeah, well, the Anglo-Saxon from
very much to certain subset of our population as well.
Absolutely.
Who, as you mentioned, you had this conversation with a woman who was saying we don't speak our ancestral language.
Yeah.
What does Ye speak? Do you think? Our man in mink.
Ye speaks Ye. Yeah.
He clearly speaks dub descending. We're gonna get there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's very conscious of this problem of the loss of roots and being adrift in adrift in a foreign imperial language and being adrift in the waters of maritime contest. I think whether or not he would explain it like that. He feels it. I speak English, which means I'm already degraded. I'm working in a degraded fashion. So I understand that, which is what I was trying to explain to this woman. A lot of the people on Telegrams, they have the same issue. They look at me and expect that I'm going to be heritage or that I lump myself in with Anglo identity, forgetting that we are machine people down here. Yeah, we're the byproducts of imperial and colonialism and everything. So, saying to her, "Oh yeah, we don't speak our ancestral language either," and she gets very confused. Colonialism, as it's become the go-to myth for the rest of the world, American Empire, because America's projected that mythology on everyone, whereas it's not the Commonwealth shared by the Commonwealth people, and it's not shared by the rest of the British subjects at all. In the there was never the same energy here that there seems to have been in Black America to establish a very unique ethnic identity that was not connected to the majority population. In the early days, I mean, the Anglos squashed the Catholic liturgy here. It took a very long time for Catholics in Australia to go to a priests that were going to perform the rites of the Catholic liturgy in order for them to be able to have the host. They certainly didn't retain a linguistic identity. It was religiously based. And then even in terms of the way that the church was behaving, Irish identity was kind of relegated to Sundays. When Ye is talking about English the way he was describing it, then I hear the resonance. I understand it. Because if you're inclined to feeling that lack of Pigeon in English, anemia of the language, where it's had the Christianity blood out of it. You can sort of taste it, but you can feel that it's anemic as a loss of salt and light. The spirituality is gone from the language. It becomes purely commercial and purely maritime. If you're someone who likes dealing in spiritual things, then English becomes a kind of fire you have to wrestle with. You don't want to be burned by it. You don't, you can be conquered by its commercial, how commercial it is. Kind of work with you have to inject the spirituality into the English, bringing Christianity into English, but it's not a simple thing to do. So I think what Ye describing, I heard what he was saying. It resonated with me because Australian art is still, we haven't developed our own styles of art here. We don't have a single genre of music that's distinctly Australian. It's just West, radio waves down here. So whoever is playing with English in North America and whoever is dominating radio waves, which their influence on English will hit us very, very strongly. We're, forming language here in the same way that you are up there. And the radio waves are American. We're receiving American alchemy of English.
I was thinking about this. Eliot, I said grew up in St. Louis on the Mississippi, and the Black American music comes from the Mississippi. We sort of our Yay Eliot twinning here is revealing patterns that we hadn't been conscious of, and that Eliot, even though he becomes this Englishman, recognized that much of what he was wrestling with and trying to access was what he felt growing up. I guess he enjoyed Mark Twain and that Mississippi feel of where the folk music comes from, where the fiddle and the banjo and there is we talked about this in my last Route 66, the summer Route 66 journey. When you're going down through there, we go down through the Mississippi, and it has access to these monsters and mysteries and languages and music, and who is expressing that, I think, is the problem. So here I am in the middle way, having had 20 years largely wasted, the years of l'entre-deux-guerres, these writing between the wars, right? Trying to learn to use words, and every attempt is a wholly new start and a different kind of failure, because one has only learnt to get the better of words for the thing one no longer has to say, or the way in which one is no longer disposed to say it. And so each venture is a new beginning, a raid on the inarticulate, with shabby equipment always deteriorating, and the general mess of imprecision of feeling, undisciplined squads of emotion, and what there is to conquer by strength and submission has already been discovered, once or twice, several times, by men who one cannot hope to emulate. But there is no competition. There is only the fight to recover what has been lost and found and lost again and again, and now under conditions that seem unpropitious. But perhaps neither gain nor loss. For us, there is only the trying. The rest is not our business. What are we going to do, this raid on the inarticulate? She's smiling now. That's good.
I'm thinking the raid on the inarticulate. It's funny. I remember seeing this video of a woman, American woman. She was Queenie Bonnix in a kind of, standard posh British English, and she was reading a spoken word poetry about being articulate. I thought it was really funny. Switching between the registers of English and what that means. Articulate. Art war is in the articulate. Everybody that is speaking English has been doing it for a commercial reason. So, even arguably, yay, because he's commercialized his manipulation and infusion of the English language. That's the wizardry of hip hop. It's the magic of language, but it's commercialized.
Right.
We're dealing with an imperial language commercial that's had its origins abandoned because we've abandoned religion that was necessary for English to form in the first place. So we've abandoned mythological origins of our own language. Then it's been weaponized as a commercial, and so it's been exposed to the entire world without the fortification of its own myth. Then that is reflected in the psychology of the people that speak it as a first language. Because, like I was saying this week when I'm fighting ranting about Mandarin, but the language itself is not fortifying in the sense of guarding you culturally. It can't. It doesn't have this aspect on as like the Romance languages where you have a masculine and feminine, and you can't go into unisex, hyperfeminine, cis language when you're speaking in Italian or Spanish, because it's obviously going to be la luna or il sole. You cannot abandon gender in that language. So you don't have this crisis. We have it in English because we don't have the gender. Even with Mandarin, and it's the character for argument is side by side. That can't be eliminated. You know, you can argue all you want about how sexist that is, but at the end of the day, if you eliminate the character, you've eliminated the character argument. Or when you're dealing with Arabics, you have masculine and feminine, even in the letters. Half of the Arabic script is considered, lunar letters and solar. You know, lunar and solar being the masculine and feminine of the Arabic mentality. So, you know, English has nothing. English has nothing to protect us. We're dealing with a cycle that's penetrable on all sides, constantly influenced from the external, and then what we're going to give to it has almost instant effect. But dealing with this on mythological origins, it's like we can't go on like this. The language is going to I will be hyperbolic, but it's almost like the language itself is going to destroy of that language unless we can infuse it with Christianity.
A prayer. Lady, whose shrine stands on the promontory, pray for all those who are in ships, those whose business has to do with fish, and those concerned with every lawful traffic, and those who conduct them. Repeat a prayer also on behalf of women who have seen their sons or husbands setting forth and not returning. Filia del tuo filio, Queen of Heaven. Also pray for those who were in ships and ended their voyage on the sand, in the sea's lips, or in the dark throat which will not reject them, or wherever cannot reach them the sound of the sea bells. Perpetual Angelus. Kind of spooky. Got there. Traffic. This is, I think it's one of the few of the stanzas where he goes macaronic and is using Italian and Latin, and the ships and the sea, and this is where the English are. I mean, this maritime empire, constant in shipwreck, and it's only with the lady of the ship that they have safety or hope.
Yeah, without her, what do we have?
Oh, well, it's the next stanza. To communicate with Mars, converse with spirits, to report the behavior of the sea monster, describe the horoscope, horoscopicate or scry, observe disease and signatures, evoke biography from the wrinkles of the palm and tragedy from fingers, release omens by sortilege or tea leaves, riddle the inevitable with playing cards, fiddle with pentagrams or barbituric acids, or dissect the recurrent image into preconscious terrors, to explore the womb or tomb or dreams. All these are usual pastimes and drugs and features of the press, and always will be, some of them especially when there is distress of nations and perplexity, whether on the shores of Asia or in the Edgware Road.